Good morning. Can you? Okay. So I'm Tanya from Surrey. It's kind of fitting that I'm the smut peddler. You from Surrey. Of course, I want you to have an open mind when we're discussing this genre. It's not all smut. But what is new adult? And essentially, it's a marketing term for a developing genre of fiction where characters are tackling issues of new adulthood. The protagonists, our main characters, are in the 18 to 25-year-old age range. They're often in a contemporary college setting, dealing with issues of identity. They're trying to figure out who they are and what their place is in the world. They're exploring their sexuality, at the same time coming to terms with issues stemming from family or childhood abuse, suicide, sexual assault, or substance abuse of either themselves or the main people in their lives. These books are often quite compelling, fast-paced plots, and the authors work hard to translate that emotional intensity and passion of new adulthood into their stories. These titles are heavy on romance, often following a formulaic theme of good girl meets bad boy with an anger management problem. And you know, many of these, and I just want to mention too that, so this genre are predominantly in an ebook or an online format, and in that format they will come with explicit sex warnings, and just about the format in general. So you've got many of these titles. I mean, it's an accessibility issue. I mean, they're available online. They allow the readers to access them often for free or very, very cheaply. You can indulge in your guilty pleasure on your tablet or your iPhone or your e-reader, and no one knows what salacious fun you are having. So that's one thing I think that has made the popularity rise. I know in iBooks, there's lots of free titles that get you, it's like crack, or it's like the gateway drug that gets you in the door. And it's just taken off. They're often, in the case of these free titles, they're self-published. And so, you know, you get an author that you like and you just keep running with it. So, and also I should say that one of the reasons that I think that the genre has gained a lot of popularity is because the stories are told often from both the female and male main characters' point of view. You've got, in the case of this book here, Beautiful Disaster, it's written from the point of view of the main female character. The follow-up book, Walking Disaster, I mean, you just have to love these titles, right? Is written from the male, the main character, the main male character's point of view. And I think that, you know, for readers of this genre, and, you know, they're hungry for that male voice. You know, they want people in that age range, or certainly even across generations that are reading this genre, they're wanting to get that male voice in that romantic setting, even if it's, you know, obviously but mostly by women. And so the development, as I mentioned, of the genre came from titles that were mostly self-published online, and that readers are really driving the demand for these titles. I just want to give an example of Colleen Hoover. Many of you may have heard of her. I know there was an article in the Vancouver Sun earlier this year about her. She, her first novel, Slammed, was originally self-published on Amazon. And in fact, her book was on the New York Times bestseller list, and she was still getting rejection letters from print publishers. So that online, that e-format is really driving this genre. Cora Carmark, who wrote her first novel, Losing It, about a young college woman who is desperate to lose her virginity. She wrote it in 3 weeks and thought, oh, if I can make $1,000, that's good. Well, her price point was $3.99, and she made about $200,000. And that landed her a 6-figure deal with HarperCollins. So for us, like the readers are driving the interest in this genre, but the publishers are also driving it. It's really important for us to know about this genre, as you know, Heidi talked about the chick lit sort of morphing into the new adult area, and so means we have to get comfortable talking about sex. So the history of, just a couple tidbits, the history of the genre, I don't know why this isn't progressing, but the term originated from St. Martin's Press in 2009 after a contest was held within the publishing industry to describe books in that mid-adult range. And from a publishing perspective, sorry. From a publishing perspective, the genre was developed from a desire to continue their relationship with those voracious YA readers who got interested in the category by reading The Hunger Games and Twilight. Again, Twilight, it keeps coming up. Just like with E.L. James, her inspiration for the 50 Shades trilogy was Twilight. And I think that that's also how a lot of our readers are being introduced to this genre is, I read Twilight, what else have you got? You know? And the other thing that's important is because obviously this is creating, the publishers are keen to get on board because they're seeing all of the popularity, and you know, let's face it, they need a money injection, right? So there's a Publishers Weekly article. I do have a bibliography I can give you if you're interested as well of the different articles that I looked at in preparing for this presentation. But what they talk about is how the avid young adult readership is getting older, and there's a hole in the romance category that new adult fills really well with its mature themes. And so the publishers are keen to keep these readers happy. And I think that these themes around identity, and of course the sex, interests older readers. And I know myself, I've had my kids' teachers, you know, say that they've read whatever. What else have you got? You know, they want to know. And I'm like, oh, let me tell you. There's sort of a component of us, and I say this from my own perspective, of middle, I call them MMMs, middle-aged moms driving minivans, that are interested in these stories and interested in the genre. So in terms of the title New Adult, I'm not sure what this means for customers. I'm not sure if, you know, if they're going to catch on to that sort of description of this hybrid category. I don't know if you're going to get people coming into the information desk saying, where are the new adult books? So that's just something to be aware of from our perspective. I think that, I know in bookstores, they're sort of lumping it into an adult contemporary. Just quickly, I'll mention that one thing that's important, so one of the big prolific authors in this area, Abby Glines, the Vincent Boys and Vincent Brothers, they were self-published in YA, but recently re-released uncut versions of these titles, labeled only appropriate for ages 17 and up. So you're going to have 2 versions of the same title. How are you going to classify that content? So for us, those are some of the issues. And there's going to be a boom. There was a New York Times article saying that publishers are seriously looking at the idea of books coming in 2 versions so that they can market to both YA and NA markets. So these, remember, you know, it's the double dip, right? And remember too, the majority of book buyers are over the age of 18. So we talked about considerations for libraries. I just say that, you know, it's a product, the genre is a product of a transitional generation, a hookup culture. You know, I think that there's just, you know, Goodreads has a great new adult book club, book lists. There's lots of titles on there. I've given you some picks. I think that there's an article that's done really well. I think, in particular, the book list article mentions some of the bestsellers. Colleen Hoover, who I just think the writing is really well done. So many were self-published. She had the benefit of then going through an editor after, and is just probably a good writer in general. Some of the self-published stuff is crap. I mean, I'll be honest with you. There's spelling mistakes, there's punctuation errors. You're not reading it for, you know, correct sentence structure, right? You're reading it for the content. But I highly recommend Colleen Hoover. Her stuff is well done. The stuff on the book list articles are well done. And I've also just given you a couple of other titles to consider. As for us, it's important to distinguish between readers looking for fast-paced stories within the new adult age range and setting, and those looking for more descriptive and sexual content. I think, so that's why those YA titles help to counterbalance that, because they're often beautiful stories, beautifully written, counterbalance these bad boys with anger management issues and look at men in a realistic way, which, you know, a steady diet of some of this stuff could really slant your point of view. So do keep those YA considerations in mind.